This short video covers the 8D problem-solving process and gives a specific short introduction overview to the third step in that process, which we call D3 or Discipline 3, Containment. In the 8D problem-solving process, we have 8 distinct steps or disciplines. They run 1 through 8 and must be followed in sequence. After establishing a team, and after working to precisely and concisely define the problem, we move to step D3, which is to take short-term corrective action, which is better known as containment action. When doing containment action, we have an objective. That objective is to initiate containment actions that protect the customer. There may be layers of containment actions that we do to protect our own internal operations, to work with suppliers at a sub-supplier level or a materials level, but we begin with the customer view. How do we mitigate the risk of beta risk, of the customer facing the issue, and then we work back from there, but we start with the customer. The action is to identify the global inventory. Where is the potential problem in the global inventory? At the customer's warehouse, our own site, our own warehouse, our stuff in process, the things that the supplier, the sub-supplier, the material supplier. We determine those corrective actions, those containment actions. We develop a schedule for those actions. We assess the effectiveness by defining what the effectiveness measures are going to be up front and ahead of time. And very, very important here, we establish a stop point. We establish a point at which these containment actions will stop. Containment actions sometimes go on in perpetuity. When they do, they decrease efficiency and they increase cost, and they don't typically help quality. We need to decide upfront when and under what circumstances we will stop the containment action. This is critically important for all kinds of operations. The result should be an instant response to prevent issues at the customer. For containment action, the purpose of a containment action is that it is used to protect the customer from the problem condition while the root cause is identified and the corrective action is implemented and verified. The 8D process is not done in an hour, and it's not done in a day. It takes more time. Therefore, in order to protect the customer while we go through the problem-solving process to find a good, solid, permanent solution, we need to do some kind of containment action here. Sometimes we call these things bandage actions. They are typically things like visual inspection, re-inspection, sorting. These things are expensive. They are rarely 100% effective. I've done studies on visual inspection, and you would be shocked at how shockingly ineffective it is. The common terms are this 80 or 85% effective. It is nowhere close. It is nowhere close. And this kind of containment action, this kind of sorting and visual inspection, it causes other problems. We mix parts, we mix labels, we bend pins, we damage units, all bad. Whatever we decide for containment action must be a temporary action and must not be allowed to go on forever and ever. When we do containment, we look at a symptom flow. This symptom flow begins with immediate containment from the problem definition. Next, we stop the defect at each point in the process, going back to the source. 3, we determine the escape point. And 4, we validate that anything that we did as containment is actually fully effective. That sequence is just as important as the rest of the 8D sequence. For containment, when we consider possible actions, we need to consider risk of benefit analysis. There is no containment action that's perfect, so we choose the best option. Brainstorming, although a weak process overall, is sometimes very good at helping us come up with ideas at this step. Something simple like a pros and cons list will help us to understand what some of our risks might be. There are also some other very good methods to assess risk on a matrix type basis. We should test the feasibility of containment action to make sure that it could actually be conducted. Nothing theoretical, something practical. And we verify the effectiveness again by predetermined measures of effectiveness. and we track and report results after implementation. So if we look at the very small table at the lower bottom of the screen, if we look at the effort cost, it should be low effort and it should be high benefit. This is what we look for, something that's easy to do, that can be done effectively, and has a very good effect, particularly in protecting the customer. So to go back and look at containment action again, there's an objective for D3. That is to initiate containment actions that protect the customer while we go through the problem-solving process. The actions are identify that global inventory at all different levels, determine the containment actions and the schedule, and how we're going to determine the effectiveness of those actions and whether it's been effective or not, to establish a stop point so we don't do this forever and ever. And then the result needs to be an instant response to prevent issues from affecting the customer.